Very good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. How are you all? Very fine, fine. Today, though, very fine weather. Now, I'm giving one message. Try to understand. Homework, one question I have said, and you have not done at the initial class. There's a trend in CA final batch, every batch, not only you. Only 6 to 7%, yeah, maximum 10% will do homework. Others are very busy in their life. Very, very busy. Please do homework because I will not give you much homework. Only one question, that too sometime with solution. That too sometime with solution. And if you are not doing that question, means one message you are giving to ICAI, not to me, that we are not prepared right now. We are not interested. We are not interested. Whatever time, whatever schedule you have, you need to work for yourself. You need to work for yourself. Try to understand, everyone, this student life, this phase of time period, only we work hard for ourselves. After, once you become chartered accountant, you'll never work for yourself. You work for entire world, but you'll not work for yourself. I am working because of my family. If there would have been no family, I would have gone to Himalaya. Are you able to understand? So what I am saying, this student life, we work for ourselves because this is our career. We are thinking about our future right now. Whatever after becoming CA, we do a job in a company and we are not working for ourselves. We are earning, we are working for getting a fixed remuneration, but actually with that remuneration, who is earning? That company. Means we are working not for ourselves, we are working for that company. But during this phase of time, we are working for ourselves because we are trying to build our career. So in this period, your efficiency should be at highest level. Highest. Highest means I will say not 100%, 1000% should be the efficiency level. And believe me, this time period will not come. Once this is over, then you will always think why this time has gone. This period of learning will never come. Once learning will end, you will start earning. And once you start earning, you will always think about the learning phase. Why we have not done the entire hard work at that time. I'm not saying that you are not doing. You all are doing, but at what efficient level, how much effective, that you need to realize at the beginning. Okay? Initially, I will say, I will ask homework, but you will not do. Dhire, I will stop asking also. Because if you will not do, I will also don't ask now. Correct? Are you able to understand? But I will give homework, don't worry. It is your time you need to utilize. Coming to question number 8, those who have not done, for them, I am need to do. From the following information in respect of pre-tax limited, prepare value-added statement on the basis of GBA, NBA. GBA you will do, NBA I will do. Okay? So we are doing this statement from the point of view of net value added. Okay? Profit and loss account, sales, 8540. Then they have given trading profit, note number 1, 766. So they have given trading profit, means can I say 8540 minus 766 will be expense. Will be expense. So what is the expense? Can you give me what is the expense? 7684. 7684 is the expense. Correct? Sales minus trading profit. Now they have given a note. They have given a note for what? This point number 1. Trading profit is arrived and after charging the following: salaries and wages 1475, director remuneration 145, audit fee 90, hire of equipment 115. Hire of equipment 115 means this total is what? Everyone, how much salaries and wages? 1475. Okay. How much director remuneration? 145. How much audit fee? 90. And how much hire of equipment means rent charges? 115. So what is other operating expense? What is the other operating expense? 59. This is what? This is wrong expense. Oh my God. 777 4. How can you do mistake about plus minus? So what is this other operating expense? 5949 first. So indirect information they have given. So batao, this is what? Application. This is what? Application. This is what? Expense. This is what? Expense. This is what? Expense. Done? Correct? We'll come to the next point. Then what they have given? Less depreciation and interest. So depreciation is 121, interest is 56. For interest they have given note number 2. So interest, let us go to note number 2. Interest figure is ascertained, interest paid on bank loan and overdraft, and interest received 9. Miss, can I say they have given interest how much? They have given interest expense how much? 60. And they have given interest income. So can I say both need to be written separately? Correct. But there will be one doubt about this. What will be the doubt? Doubt is that they have given interest on bank loan and overdraft. Now bank loan individually will be long term. Overdraft individually will be what? Short term. Now question arises in exam, what we need to assume? I understood you all are expert, but let me speak. What I am saying, in exam, what we need to assume? Now, assumption means what? From exam point of view. Assumption does not mean any assumption. Assumption should be appropriate and rational assumption from exam point of view, means from question point of view. What is the intention of this chapter? What is the requirement of this chapter? From that point we take assumption. Are you getting what I am saying? Means any assumption will not work out. You can say we'll take any assumption, that will not work out. Assumption means rational assumption, appropriate assumption from the point of view of that chapter. Means it might happen in this chapter you are assuming long term, but in some chapter you might assume the same point as what? Short term. Are you able to understand? But what is the intention? What is the objective of this chapter? To find out profit of how many percent? 6%. So but you will assume long term or short term? Long term. Are you, the intention, the objective of this chapter is to find out the profit of 6%, and long term financer are among that 6%. Are you able to understand? So from that objective we'll assume what? We'll assume what? Long term. Are you able to understand? Correct. Now everyone, this is long term. And one hint I am giving, suppose you are not able to judge in exam whether this is long term or short term, I will ask you what you have done in your bachpan. Bachpan means CPD. In CA, bachpan means what? CPD. So you have one had salaries and wages, and one was wages and salaries. But this was what? Indirect, na? And this was what? But we have given preference to what? We have given preference to what? Which is written what? First. Now what is written first here? Bank loan. So we should give more importance to what? Bank loan. But then also we need to become rational about assumption. Rational about assumption. Are you able to understand? Correct. So this will be what? Long-term borrowing. Anyone who have assumed short-term borrowing? Because 8 people has done. So you have done short-term borrowing? Chalo, theek hai. But now you have understood the assumption. So try to understand. We need to work in every aspect. We need to work in every aspect. Solution is not the main objective. The gross value added, net value added is not the mere objective. Try to understand, if you have done entire work properly and at the end you have done some mistake, calculation mistake, it might happen in your exam, the examiner will give 8 out of 8. Because our objective is not calculation. Our objective is presentation and the knowledge about the concept. Knowledge about the concept. Working knowledge has been done. Working knowledge has been already checked where? In IPCC level. In IPCC level. We are not here to find out the working knowledge. We are here to find out what? Reporting and the basic concept of your any subject. It does not mean you'll do some calculation mistake. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? So interest you have understood. Then coming to the next point, what they have said. Depreciation than interest. Rent from let out property. This is an income? Income. So income means indirect income. Then provision for tax. They have given point number 3. There will be one deferred tax pakka. Then profit after tax, extraordinary item. We need to disclose it at what? Separate item. So they have given extraordinary item. Surplus on sale and lease back of property. You have done sale of lease back. Will cover it under India 17 one second, but this is a gain on lease back property. It is a one type of extraordinary item as per AS5. But as per India, there is no concept of extraordinary item. Extraordinary item. So in this chapter, we'll consider UI because this is not based on India's. This chapter is not based on India's. Are you able to understand? Loss of cash. This is also one type of what? Extraordinary item. Understood this point? Correct? Then, what they have given? Dividend paid and payable. This is what? Application. Retained profit. This is also application. All point cover. Point number 3. Provision for tax include 57 to the credit of DT account. Understood? Very easy question now. So what happened? Once you have read the question, now try to understand what happened in exam. Suppose suddenly a new questions come. Why I have said homework, always a good question I will give as homework. Why? When I will do, you will always assume that everything is very easy in class. Because that you are not doing, I am doing and you are following me. You are following me. Are you able to understand? So whenever I am doing in class, you will feel that, array, this is very, very simple chapter. But the same question when you are doing, it might happen, there are some doubt which need to be cleared or rectified as soon as possible. Means self-study is more important. Self-study is more important. Are you able to understand what I am saying? So why I have given an interesting question to you? Because when you will do, you will understand in exam hall, if a new questions come, whether you can do it by your own or whether you can't do it by your own. And if you can't do it, so you need to understand till now there is some lacking in this chapter. So we need to understand that point now. During this class only, therefore homeworks are important. So please spend 10 minutes for homework, not more than that. Only 10 minutes. But you need to spend 1 hour for revision. 1 hour for revision, that I have said in the first day. 1 hour revision is must. 1 hour revision is must. Whatever time you have, if you will not follow, there will be some difficulty. My point of view, if you are sleeping for 6 hours and you are not getting time, sleep for 5 hours. Because this is the last attempt you have. Understood what I am saying? If you are sleeping for 6 hours, you are saying now only 6 hours, sleep for 5 hours. And if you are sleeping for 5 hours, sleep for 4 hours. Understood? And if you are sleeping for 4 hours, sleep for 3 hours. But study. No, don't sleep. I will say if you are sleeping for 1 hour, don't sleep. Try to understand if you are sleeping, then next attempt will come. next attempt will come. So this is the last attempt for you. Work as much hard as you can. As much hard as you can. That is only one mantra of CA final. As much time you can devote to this all subject, you'll be passing in the first attempt. Are you getting? Try to understand. There are some exceptional students. But I always consider we all are average students. If you consider yourself exceptional, then there is no requirement of revision. When I was a student, I used to assume myself as an average student. An average student needs to work hard. And if you are thinking you are exceptional, not from the point of first day, of course we all are exceptional, but we need to assume that we are average student. And then we need to work hard. Are you able to understand? Correct? Chalo. Now we'll do what? The solution. Can you help me, those who have done? So what we write down now? We write down net value added statement. In exam, either they will ask gross or net. They will not ask both. Net value added statement of which company? Pretext. For the year ended, you can write down. Shh, no talking. Rupees in 1,000 amount. But I will start with what? Sales. Sales is 8540. There is no other direct income. So there is no need to write down in exam if there is no direct income. Total A. 8540. Then we write down cost of bought in material and services used. Correct? But we write down operating expense. So what was the total? Or we can write down in this way. It is 90 plus 115 plus what? 5949. 6154. Then should we write depreciation? Should we write depreciation? Yes. Depreciation is what? 121. I think no other expense. This become total B. 6275. 6275. So this is value added by trading or manufacturing activity. How much? 2265. Then we'll add what? Indirect income. We have two indirect income. One is what? Interest. I'm writing first interest. Interest income. How much? How much? 9 na? 9. And we have rent income. 33. So this become what? Net value added before what? Before EOI. Before EOI. How much? How much? 7 na? Net is 7 na? Oh, sorry. What is the total of this? 2307. Then we write down extraordinary item. Okay? What is the net amount? 7. Negative. Negative. So this become net value added after EOI. How much? 2,300. Easiest. Application, one more column, percentage, amount. To employ, how much? 1475. To director, 145. To provider of finance. We write down one note for these, that we have assumed it is what? Long term. So how much? 65. To provider of capital, how much? 136. To government, how much? It was 275 minus 57. 218. Then to entity, what is the balancing figure? 261. But what is the retained profit? 204 plus 57. Total is what? Percentage you can calculate. 100. Simplest. Question number 2, have you done? With solution. Any doubt? Those who have read, question number 2 with solution was given. If any doubt, you can ask me. Bolo. In that question, staff welfare expense was there. You have assumed what? Application. Already note I have given. Decrease means what? It is also an one type of operating expense. Decrease in inventory, you don't know? I am coming. Let them write down. I am coming. Everyone, please receive the study mat as soon as possible, because I teach a lot. In one day, you will see the volume will be very much. Volume will be very much, and you will not understand within 10 days, yeah, within 12 days, a lot of syllabus is completed. I will not fast, but my volume will be what? Much. Are you getting what I am saying? So please receive study mat as soon as possible. Otherwise, lot of pending work will be there. And accumulation is always dangerous. Accumulation is always dangerous. Chalo. Now, what was your doubt? Increase or decrease now? But you used to prepare trading account. Opening stock 1,000, closing stock 2,000. Now only vertical format. In vertical format we can't write opening stock and closing stock. But this is increase or decrease? Increase in stock. Increase in stock means profit. Profit. Because this will increase your profit by 1,000, correct? And if suppose decrease, so this will be considered as expense. Expense. So what we do in expense column, when we write expense, if there is an increase, we write down it as negative. In expense, if you write increase in inventory, that will be negative. And if there is a decrease in inventory, that will be positive. So we don't write increase or decrease where? In income. We write increase or decrease in inventory, means changes in inventory in expense. Are you getting? Because that will be adjusted with what? raw material consumed and purchase of stock in trade. Purchase of stock in trade. This is as per Schedule 3 format. As per Schedule 3 format. Any doubt? More? Every doubt need to be asked. Any more doubt? No doubt. So coming to which chapter? Ind AS 37. Please यहाँ पे बात मत करो. बात मत करो. Now, coming to Ind AS 37. So what is the meaning of provision? Provision means liability of uncertain amount and or timing. Okay? What is the meaning of liability? Liabilities are present obligation arising from past event which will be settled through outflow of resource. What is the meaning of present obligation? More likely than not. Means chances of occurrence of loss is more than chances of non-occurrence of loss. Okay? In simple word, more than 50%. More than 50%. What obligation? Obligation can be of two types. Legal obligation, constructive obligation. Legal obligation arises due to what? Contract and any other law. Means act. Are you getting? Constructive obligation arises, derived from entity's own action. For example, due to what? Past practice, published policies and a specific announcement, statement, which will create responsibility on the part of entity and which will create valid expectation on the part of other party. Then it will be a constructive obligation. So for each and every constructive obligation, also Ind AS 37 is applicable. Ind AS 37 is applicable. Any doubt? Till now. Okay? So we have done point number 1. You have written point number 1, provision? Correct? Then write down under this same point, recognition of provision. Recognition of provision. Recognition of provision. What is the meaning of recognition? Recognition means what? Recording. Recording means when to record. When to record in our books of account. Means what will be the timing of recognition? What will be the time when we should recognize what? Provision. So that timing means when 3 conditions are satisfied. Are you? Batao, what are the 3 conditions? If all the following conditions are satisfied, provision should be recognized. Should be recognized. All condition has been derived from what? The definition only. First what? There must be what? Present obligation. present obligation from what? From past event. From past event, first condition. What will be the second condition? Outflow of resource. Outflow of a resource which is required to settle the obligation, which is required to settle the obligation is probable. Once again, probable means what? More likely than not. Means obligation should be also probable and outflow of resource should be also probable. Both the conditions need to be satisfied. What is the last condition? Bolo. A reliable estimation can be made for what? For the amount of obligation. For the amount of obligation. For the amount, and also you can write down timing. For the amount or timing of what? Obligation. For the amount or timing of obligation. A reliable estimation can be made. A reliable estimation can be made. Normally, it is very rare that when first and second condition are satisfied, always we will be able to estimate the amount. Very rare situation will be there that we are not able to estimation. We are expert in estimation. We can estimate anything. We can estimate whether we'll pass or fail. Bolo yes or no? If I'll ask whether you are going to pass in your attempt, you'll say what? Yes, we are estimating now. Bolo yes or no? So we are very much good in what? Estimation. We are very much good in estimation. If I'll ask you what is the estimated life of a plant, property or equipment, we can estimate. We have done lot of estimation from our CBT, useful life, residual value, etc. The estimation, there will be no doubt. First and second condition are very important. First and second condition are very important. The first condition is what? Present obligation, keyword. From what? Past event, keyword. Outflow of resource, keyword. Is probable, keyword. A reliable estimation is the keyword. Are you able to understand? If this keyword you are writing in exam, then only you will get marks. Have you understood this point? Correct? I think no discussion required. Now let us come to some example. Everyone. This example, whatever I am taking, this is a IPCC level example. Okay? Everyone try to understand. It might happen you know this example, then also we'll discuss. Okay? Everyone. Ki there was a factory creating what? Lot of pollution. Okay? And notice came from state government. State government, are you able to understand? You need to feed a smoke filter, which will cost around, let us assume 1 crore, which will cost around 1 crore. Are you able to understand? Correct? This was the condition existing on balance sheet date. Means a notice came, past event. Are you getting what I am saying? And there is an obligation existing on balance sheet date due to that past event. Due to that past event. Have you understood this point? Correct? Okay, but till now the management has not decided whether they need to feed or they need to do some other activities. Means can I say they may also change the entire method of production, which will create what? Less pollution. Are you able to understand? So then smoke filter is not required. If they will change the entire method of production, so it might happen that will create less pollution. Then the fitting of what? This is not required. Then fitting of this is not required. Or it might happen 1 crore is a huge expenditure and they cannot change the method of production. So they may decide to what? Close down the factory. They may decide to close down the factory, whether this can be a possible situation or not. But till now, the management has not yet decided. But there is an obligation or not? There is an obligation or not? There is a present obligation from past event. There is a present obligation from past event. Question arises, should we create provision? Bolo. The question arises, should we create provision? Yes or no? No. Why? Outflow of resource is not probable. Outflow of resource is not probable. Have you understood? So what India's 37 says, when the obligation is not dependent, when the obligation is not dependent on entity's future conduct of business, then only we should recognize what? Provision. But here can I say it is dependent on the future conduct of business, whether they will change the method of production or whether they will close down the business or whether they will feed the smoke filter, that we don't know. So it is dependent on what? Future conduct of business. Therefore, we should not recognize provision. I am talking about provision. There may be contingent liability. There may be contingent liability. Are you able to understand? Correct? So whenever obligation is what? Dependent or independent? Dependent on future conduct of business, we should not recognize what? Provision. This is the key point. Understood? One more example, which is a examination question 3-4 times they have asked. Key, suppose Air India purchase what? What they will purchase? Aeroplane? Correct? Understood? Now you can understand now why that is required. They purchase aeroplane. Now as per the Act, National Aviation Act, after every 3 years, this require repair and rehauling expenditure. Means some maintenance need to be done after every 3 years, even though it is in very good condition. Even though it is in very good condition. Means any aeroplane purchase, as per Act, they need to what? Do some rehauling expenditure. Are you able to understand? So once they purchase, batao, this is a past event or not? Correct? And there is a present obligation on balance sheet date or not, due to legal obligation. Due to Act, there is some obligation. Once the 3 year will be over, some expenditure need to be done. So there is what? Outflow of resource also. There is an outflow of resource also. But whether we should create provision? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? No. Why? Once again, same point. It is dependent on what? Future conduct of business. So keyword is what? It is dependent on future conduct of business. Therefore, outflow of resource is what? Not probable. Therefore, we should not recognize provision. Have you understood? Write down. Note number A. देखो, only those obligation which exist independently from entities future conduct of business, future conduct of business, what should be recognized or not recognized? Should be recognized. When I am saying recognize, so recognize means as provision only. As provision. Okay? In other words, obligations which are dependent on future conduct of business should not be recognized. Why? Should not be recognized. Why? Why? Because outflow of resource is not probable. ठीक है? However, if outflow of resource is not remote. What is the meaning of remote? Remote means very less chances. I will say less than 5%. Less than 5%. So if outflow of resource is not remote, then it should be what? Disclosed as what? Disclosed as contingent liability. We are coming soon to what? Contingent liability. Contingent liability. Are you able to understand? Have you understood? देखो, refer example number 6 to 10. Example number 6 to 10 from your study material, means the material which I have given. ठीक है? Example number 6 to 10 refer. So whenever you are doing revision, just refer that example. ठीक है? Are you able to understand? So you will have more clarity about this statement. Correct? Chalo. Then let us take second example. Second example for note number B. Everyone. What happened? I'll give one example, then I'll give a note. What happened? One trade fair was organized. You know trade fair? One trade fair was organized. Means they have what? Called all business throughout the world. Businessmen throughout the world. ठीक है? So one what? One place was appointed. Everyone came, but it was fully crowded. It became fully crowded. And what happened? Due to some unnecessary event, something happened and a fire occurred. A fire occurred. And due to that fire, most of the people either died or injured. Are you getting what I am saying? Correct? Have you understood? So what happened? One of the injured or the person who has died, his relative or her relative has filed a case against this entire organization who has organized this trade fair. Have you understood? So this is pending in what? Court. Right now it is pending in court. But whether there is a past event, whether there is an obligation, present will be dependent upon what? Evidence. So let us assume it is a present obligation, means chances of occurrence of compensation, means we need to pay compensation, that is very high. That is very high. Question arises, try to understand what is the question. The entity, this organization said, because we don't know the identification of the person who has died, who has injured, how many people died, how many people injured, that we don't know. Chalo, if we know the number of people died and number of people injured, but we don't know the name, address of that person, so will not create provision. Will not create provision. Correct also? Are you able to understand? We don't know who has filed a case against one person has filed, but we need to pay compensation to all. So whether we should create provision or should we not create provision? But yes, we should create or we should not create. We should create or we should not create. So one clarification has been given. The doubt has been clarified by India 37 as well as AS 29. We should create provision even though we don't know the identification of that third party. Have you understood? So we should create provision even though we don't know the identification, the name, address of that person who are injured or who have died. Understood? Correct. Write down. Point number B. Dekho. All are exam questions. All obligations involve other party. Correct? Means every transaction has other party. Okay? Party. However, it is not essential. It is not essential to know what? To know the identity of other party for recognition of provision. For recognition of provision. Have you understood? So if all the conditions satisfied, even though you don't know the identification, create what? Provision. Have you understood? Write down. Refer example number 14. Understood? Point number C. Point number C. Now, everyone try to understand. Okay? Before writing the note, let us talk about one example. What happened? One company was polluting the environment. Okay? But there was no act about the cleaning of that environment. Means they were polluting, but there was no act till now for cleaning up the environment. It might be, means there is no legal obligation. And because they have also not announced anything about cleaning up, so there is no constructive obligation. There is no constructive obligation. Have you understood? Correct? But what happened? Everyone try to understand. On balance sheet date, there was no act. No act. But there was one announcement of act. means act was going to be announced. Act was going to be announced means still not enacted. The act was not enacted but drafted. Drafted. But you know in India it will take at least one government will come for 5 years. So at the end they will draft. 4 years they will do corruption. Then at the end they will say that we have drafted so many acts. And they will show to the public we have done this, we have done this, we have done this only last year. Are you getting what I am saying? It will take time in India. Are you able to understand what I am saying? You don't believe Companies Act 2013 was drafted in the year 1980s. 80s. It has taken, I will say, more than 25 years to be enacted. This is India. This is India. You don't know, Ind AS was announced that it will be incorporated in India in the year 2000. It has taken 16 years for actual enactment. Actual enactment. This is India. Full corruption. Full corruption. Nothing. Only deferment, deferment, deferment. Because of what? All politicians, all industries are connected. All politicians and industries are connected. So we need to do something for this. Correct now? Bolo, the entire future of India is dependent on what? Us. Educated people. We are what? Educated people. So we should also go to politics. Chalo, theek hai. Now, but what happened? One act was drafted, but till now not enacted. Have you understood what I have said? Now the question arises, should we create provision? Drafted, but not yet enacted. Should we create provision? Now, I am talking about provision right now. Should we create provision? Yes or no? So what Ind AS 37 says, that if any act is enacted or there is a virtual certainty of enactment by reporting date, means 90% chances that it will be enacted, then create provision. Then create provision. So virtual certainty means what? 90% chances. What is the keyword? Virtual certainty. So if by the end of reporting that there is a virtual certainty of enactment, then what? Create provision. Even though act was not enacted by the end of reporting period. Are you able to understand? They will ask question on this, and if you will not write virtual certainty, they will give 0. If you write yes, provision should be created. But if you have not written this word, virtual certainty, 0. They will delete like this. Understood? Means keywords are important. All keywords are important. I am giving you the focus on that point. Have you understood? Write down. Legal obligation. Point number. Legal obligation arises only when legislation or act are enacted or it is what? Virtually certain that what? It will be enacted. It will be enacted. It will be enacted. It will be enacted by the end of what? A reporting period. By the end of RP means reporting period. Are you able to understand? Now question arises, sir, virtually certain means what? So virtually certain means more than what? 90%. But sir, how we will understand that it is virtually certain? Can I say, if suppose the bill has been passed in both the house and it is only what is left? President sign is left. That is only formality in India. You know, president is only what? Only for signing. Are you able to understand? The president only sign has been left. Okay, it is virtually certain now. So I will say, if the bill has been passed in both the houses. You know house na? Which house? Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Then we'll assume that it is virtually certain. But this is only one example. There can be some other evidence which might create a evidence for what? Virtual certainty. Virtual certainty. Have you understood this point? Correct? Any doubt? No doubt. Correct? देखो, refer example number 11 and 12, but this we will read in class, because from my point of view this is expected, and when I say expected means it is virtual certainty. Are you getting? Expected. ठीक है? Come to example number 11, page number 33. Page number 33. Those who have no book, for them I have. Example number 11. Everyone. Because what happened right now? What happened? We are dealing with this point. This question become very easy. Because we know the question is about virtual certainty. But in exam, first paper, in your mind 8 subjects are there. Not one subject and not one chapter. This question is dangerous question in exam. Abhi to virtual certainty maja aa raha hai. Everyone feels that this is very easy question. Correct now? But right now we have done this point and we are referring that question. So of course the answer will be based on that point only. But think about exam hall, 8 subject, what? And so many chapters in only in FR, everything is in your mind. So it means there should be high retention power. For that, only one mantra revision. Which we don't do. Chalo. An entity in the oil industry causes contamination but cleanup only when required to do so under the law of the particular country in which it operates. Okay? One country in which it operates had no legislation requiring cleaning up, and the entity has been contaminating land in that country for many years. At 31st March 2001, it is virtually certain that a draft law requiring a cleanup of land already contaminated will be enacted shortly after the year end. It is assumed that, now, Bakwas point. Are you getting? The word is what? Virtually certain. But in exam, they will not use this word in question. Okay? So what? Suppose the question is silent about virtually certain. So you write down 2 alternative answers. If the enactment is virtually certain, create what? Provision. If the enactment is not virtually certain, then do not recognize provision. Understood? Keyword is what? Virtually certain. Keyword is virtually certain. So they will target with this point. They will not give in question virtually certain. If given, then thank you very much. If not given, so you need to interpret this question. Have you understood? Correct? Very simple. 5 out of 5. But you need to write down the keyword. Understood? As per India's 37. Understood? One more question. Very good question. Illustration example number 12. To write down 100% chances. But I don't know the attempt in which it will come. It will pakka come. It is Very good question. An entity in the oil industry causes contamination and operate in a country where there is no environmental legislation. Same question. However, the entity has widely published environment policy in which it undertakes to clean up all contamination that it causes. The entity has a record of honoring this what? Published policy. It is assumed that reliable estimate can be made. But what? No act. There is no act. There is no virtual certainty of act. Should we create provision? For what reason? Now it become what? Constructive obligation. But if you write yes, we'll create provision, you should write down due to what? Constructive obligation. And define what? Constructive obligation. Also define constructive obligation. Then only they will understand you are eligible to come to what? CA membership. Have you understood this point? Chalo. Done. So all points of provision I have considered. Measurement is left. Okay? Understood? Now coming to point number 2. Contingent liability. Contingent liability. Contingent. So contingent means contingent. You all know about accounting treatment, but it should be recognized or disclosed? Disclosed where? Notes to account. Everyone know because everyone have passed IPCC. Nothing to discuss about that. But what is contingent liability? But what is contingent liability? Before that, everyone, now, we have understood obligation must be there on which date? From which event? Past event. Everyone concentrate. I want definition from you only. This obligation can be either legal or constructive. Any doubt? No doubt. No doubt? Correct? Now, this obligation can be of how many types? 3 types. But what? One is present. Present obligation. Present obligation means what? More likely than MLTN. More likely than not. MLTN? In exam don't write, huh? MLTN means what? More likely than not. Everyone, I am asking one question. Please say correctly. Everyone? Because this will, whatever reaction is coming from your side, I will understand how much you are understanding my words. So what I am saying, obligation from past event, there is a present obligation. We should create what? We should create what? We should create what? Provision. All are wrong because there are 2 conditions left. अब तो बोलोगे. Whether we should create provision right now? No, Baba, no. There are 2 conditions left. So as a chartered accountant, you should think about that 2 conditions also. I have said present obligation is there from past event. You will say create provision. This is not CPT, Baba. All conditions need to be what? Satisfied. And I have warned you before your answer, okay? So in my class, you need to have what? Presence of mind. I will ask a lot of questions. Huh? I will ask a lot of questions. But nahi chalega. After class, I will teach you one thing. That how to study. CA. CA does not, the study of CA final especially, does not mean coming in class and going out of the class. It means what? You need to think while in the class. Whatever teacher is saying, think. If you are not understanding, ask. And if you have understood, apply. Then only you will become what? CA. There are 3 processes. Think, ask, apply. Think, ask me doubt if you have not understood. So think, doubt and apply. If you do this process, then only it will help you at a time of self-study. Otherwise, lot of doubt will come when you do what? Self-study. So in my class, think, so I will make you what? I'll create a situation that you'll be in that position that you need to think only. But doubt you need to ask. Application you need to do. Understood? So batao, should we create provision? So there are two more conditions, batao what? Outflow of resource is what? Is probable. And what? And reliable estimation. Reliable estimation can be made. I am observing that many of you are not writing. Whenever I write in good handwriting, you should write down. Okay? This you have written? Heading? No. But our heading also not written. Concentrate with writing only. In exam you need to write down na. So with writing you need to concentrate na. In exam hall. So here also concentrate with writing. Then next time I will not ask you to write, okay? This is wastage of time. Done? Correct? Batao. So can I say in this way? There are 1, 2 and 3 circumstances. First what? This is satisfied, this is satisfied. So we'll create what? Provision. Provision. And it might happen, this is satisfied, this is not satisfied. Very rare. This is so very, very rare. Outflow is probable and you are saying amount cannot be estimated. Very, very rare. I don't have any example also for this. Are you getting what I am saying? But if this situation arises, so bata, will you create provision? No, Baba, no. As per India 37, if estimation cannot be done, provision cannot be made, but very rare. Outflow is probable. If you are saying outflow is probable, higher chances of outflow, it means you can estimate. It means you can estimate. Understood? How to estimate? We are there. Don't worry. India 37 will give what? Some technique. Now, the third situation is outflow is not probable. Question of estimation will not arise. Are you getting what I am saying? But if you can say in this, chalo theek hai. Once I can make like this also. Outflow is not probable. Outflow is not probable. Amount can be estimated. Chalo theek hai. So one more situation will come. Batao. Both are not satisfied. Okay? So batao, in this situation what we'll do? In all this situation, it will be what? Contingent liability. Means if any of the two condition is not satisfied, it become a what? Contingent liability. Means can I say contingent liabilities are present obligation from past event? Contingent liabilities are present obligation from past event, which is not recognized as provision. Why? Because either outflow of resource is not probable or reliable estimation cannot be made. Have you understood? Means it was wrong that you are saying only possible obligation. If there is a present obligation, it can be a contingent liability. Understood this point? Then, have you understood this point? Second is what? Possible obligation. Possible obligation means what? Not MLTN. Means what? Not more likely than not. Negative definition. They have given a negative definition. It is not more likely than not. Means chances of non-occurrence of loss is more than chances of occurrence of loss. Or I can say in this way, chances of occurrence of loss is less than chances of non-occurrence of loss, whatever. It is not more likely than not. This is the keyword from exam point of view. Keyword. Not more likely than not. On which date? On balance sheet date. On balance sheet date. So for all possible obligation, what will do? What will do? Will create what? Will not create, sorry. Will disclose it as what? Disclose as contingent liability. Disclose as contingent liability. Are you able to understand? Have you understood? Possible obligation means what? Not more likely than not. So for every possible obligation, from which event? Past event. We should disclose what? Contingent liability, whether estimated or not estimated. Whether you can estimate it or whether you cannot estimate it. If it is a possible obligation, disclose. So can I say the meaning of contingent liability? You need to say with me. Contingent liabilities are, point number A, present obligation arising from past event, which is not recognized as provision. Why? Because either outflow of resource is not probable or reliable estimate cannot be made, or it is what? Possible obligation arising from past event. Now I will say the existence of which will be confirmed only by occurrence or non-occurrence of uncertain future event which is not within the control of entity. We have done somewhere, na? Contingencies. Have you understood? Have you understood? I'll give you an writing, don't worry. This you understood? Then last, there is one more obligation. A remote. Remote obligation. This has not been defined. The remote has not been defined. Means it depends upon judgment. Whether it is remote or it is not remote. But from the past experience, from my experience, from the examination point of experience, if it is less than what? 5%. If chances are less than 5%, we call it what? A remote obligation. So for remote obligation, no treatment. No treatment, ignore. Ignore. No treatment, ignore. Understood? So with one diagram, one chart, I have explained provision as well as what? Contingent liability. Understood? Now write down the meaning. Everyone will help me as per meaning. Meaning of contingent liability. Bata. Contingent liability are point number 1, what? Everyone. Present obligation from past event, which is not recognized, because Either. Point number A. Outflow of a resource to settle the obligation. To settle the obligation. To settle the obligation is not what? Probable. Or point number B, what? Reliable. Estimation cannot be made, or reliable estimation cannot be made. Understood? Or point number two, correct? Contingent liability are possible obligation from future event, past event, from past event, correct? Then write down. Up to this, even though you write this much, now they will understand. You know what? India is 37. But proper definition also I need to give. Okay? So contingent liabilities are possible obligation from past event. Write down. The existence of which will be confirmed by what? By occurrence or non-occurrence. The existence of which will be confirmed by occurrence or non-occurrence of what? Of uncertain. Occurrence or non-occurrence of uncertain future event. Which is not within the control of entity. Which is not within the control of entity. Correct? Understood? Easy? Correct? Write down. Recognition. Easy? Contingent liability understood? So can I say now you can differentiate provision and contingent liability in any situation? In any circumstances, correct? Any example I will give, you will be able to understand. Batao, when to recognize contingent liabilities? When to recognize contingent liability? No recognition. Write down. Contingent liabilities are not recognized. Where? recognize in financial statement, FS, financial statement. It requires what? It requires disclosure. Disclosure where? In notes to account, unless what? Outflow of resource, unless outflow of resource is what? Is what? Is remote. Is remote. So if the outflow of resource is remote, then disclosure is also not required. Understood? Have you understood this point? So once again, this is keyword. Understood? Write down. Following disclosures are required. Following disclosures are required. Point number A, nature of event. Nature of event. Point number B, effect in financial statement. Write down in bracket. If effect is not determinable, determinable, fact should be disclosed. Fact should be disclosed that we are nalayak, we can't estimate. Means even though the amount cannot be estimated for contingent liability, disclosures are required. Disclosures are required, and the fact is required that we are not able to estimate the amount. We are not able to estimate the amount. Understood? So these two disclosures are required. Understood? Correct? Till now we are doing meaning part only. We have done provision, we have done contingent liability. What is left? Contingent asset. This meaning you will give me. Just opposite of what? Contingent assets. Batao. Are what? Contingent asset are what? Are present right. देखो are possible. There is no present यहाँ पर. Possible. Obligation opposite is what? Asset. So it is possible asset. Asset means inflow. Asset means inflow. So possible asset arising from past event. Arising from past event. Understood? Correct? Any doubt? But what you have done in AS 29 about this contingent asset required recognition or disclosure? Required recognition or disclosure? No disclosure where? In financial statement, but we should disclose where? In the report of approving authority. I think you have done this. No recognition, no disclosure where? In financial statement, but it may be disclosed where? in the report of approving authority. I've never understood one point कि बताओ AS is for what? Financial statement, director's report. So can I say director's report is not based on accounting standard? There, so we can write anything. So why AS has done this? You may disclose in director's report, even though you will not say will disclose. Bole yes or no? That was bakwas point. That was bakwas point. Actual point what India 37 says. Let us understand. Write down. If inflow are virtually certain, if inflow are virtually certain, one second, virtually certain means what? More than 95%. Then what they have said? It is not a what? Contingent asset. Why? It is not a contingent asset. Why? Because it will be, it should be recognized as what? Asset. Oh my God. It should be recognized as what? Asset. So if there is some possible inflow and we are virtually certain about that inflow, 95% chances that we will receive that amount, then it is your asset due to past event. Already the event has occurred. Receivable means what? Accrual basis. Any doubt about this? Then I will give one example. Example is what? Everyone try to understand. You have done credit sales. But past event, and I will say possible inflow, because they can be bad debt. They can be bad debt or not. Bolo yes or no? Are you able to understand? You can't say it will be received only. But batao, whether you are virtually certain about receive? Yes. Therefore recognize as what? Asset. Already we have done. From our bachpan we are doing one journal entry. What? Debtor account debit to sales. That is not a contingent asset. That is what? Asset. Even though someone can say that it is a possible inflow, but we are virtually certain about what? Received. But it does not mean there will be no doubt, there will be no bad debt. There can be bad debt. But that is very rare. In unusual circumstances, there will be occurrence of what? Bad debt. Understood? So virtual certainty, if there is, then always recognize it as an asset. Correct or not? So they have given one clarification. If you are virtual certain about the inflow, or recognize it as asset, there is no contingent asset. Okay? Second point. If inflow are probable means more likely than not, then write down. No asset is recognized. No asset is recognized. Means can I say it is what? It is contingent asset. Are you getting what I am saying? So if inflow are probable, more likely than not, means not 95%, less than 95% and more than 50%. Are you getting? Means you are not virtually certain about this, but it is probable. Then don't recognize it as asset. Then it will become your contingent asset and disclose where? Disclose where? It in financial statement. Oh my God. Disclose it in what? Financial statement. What is director's report? Why disclose in director's report? If you want to disclose, disclose where? In notes to account. Correct now. It is probable. If you are disclosing about what? Obligation, you should also disclose about what? Asset. Correct or not? Are you able to understand? To disclose it where? In your financial statement. When I am saying financial statement, means what? Notes to account. Because all disclosure we give there. Understood? Correct? Changes. Difference between AS 29 and IND AS 37. Understood? Then. Bola. You are writing with me now? Then. If inflow are what? Not probable. Not probable. Then batao, what will do? Then no treatment. No treatment is required. No treatment. If inflow are not probable, then no treatment. Means the chances are less than 50%, then don't recognize, don't disclose. Means Indians never deals for director's report. And we should not think about director's report. Director's report is what? Management right. They can disclose, they can write whatever they want. Bole yes or no? Correct na? They can give any information, whatever they want to give. That is their choice. So we should not have any standard for what? Director's report. Understood? Correct? Now, I will ask you some. Let's see whether you are able to interpret or not. Okay? Once again, presence of mind is required. Write down. Certainty. Obligation. Obligation and asset. Asset means inflow. I don't write asset, huh? If I write asset, obligation means outflow. Now, but if 100% certainty, so what you will do for obligation outflow? It is a provision or liability? Then it is a pure liability now. And for inflow, it is pure asset. 100% certainty. Okay? Now, you fill the blank. Don't discuss. More than 95%. Don't discuss, huh? More than 50%. More than 5%. Less than 5%. When I am saying more than 50% means this is what? Less than 95%. Fill the blank. If you can write down correctly, means you have understood. Then, done? Bolo. First, obligation, 95%? 95%? No. Provision. For obligation, I have not used the word virtually certain. For obligation, I have not used the word virtually certain. If the provisions are what? Present obligation and reliable estimation is required, it is what? Provision. 100% certainty, then only liability. Correct? Then 50% provision, 5% and less than 5%, no treatment, no T. ठीक है, एसिड मजा आएगा. एसिड बताओ. More than 95% acid. More than 50% contingent acid. More than 5% no treatment. Less than 5%. Very good. Very good. Excellent. All have done this. Only doubt was here, na? This doubt clear? This doubt clear? Understood? Very good. So we have done meaning part over. Now measurement part will start. Now we'll do measurement part. We have understood provision, contingent liabilities, contingent assets. So you can understand, I focus on meaning means I will take 1 hour in each meaning. Means I will make you expert in meaning part. Till we understand the meaning, we can't prepare what? Balance sheet. So every meaning, I'll be focused on each and every keywords. I think now you have understood what actually provision, contingent liabilities and contingent assets are. Understood? We'll take a break of 10 minutes. Now, chalo, we'll start. Point number 4. Now, full concentration is required. Everyone. Measurement of provision and what? Contingent liability. So can I say also contingent liability require measurement? Because we need to also estimate contingent liability. If it cannot be estimated, facts should be disclosed. So how to measure? What India says, point number A, key, it should be the best estimate. Best estimate of expenditure required to what? Settle the obligation. Settle the obligation at the end of reporting date. At the end of reporting date. Keyword is at the end of reporting date. At the end of reporting date. Means it should be the best estimate of what? Expenditure, which is required to settle the obligation. But on which date? At the end of reporting date. Means, everyone, try to understand this point. Suppose this is your reporting date, 31st March 2018. You are preparing financial statement on this date. Okay? And there is some obligation for which you need to create provision, and that will be settled after 4 years. Means you have also estimated a timing, and the timing is what? It will be settled after 4 years. From what? Balance sheet date. And you have estimated the amount also 20 lakh. 20 lakh. Are you able to understand? So this 20 lakh is payable as on this date. 20 lakh is payable as on this date, na? Bole yes or no? But we need to find out which will be settled at the end of what? Reporting date. So batao, what will be the amount of provision? What is the amount of provision? 20 lakh or some other amount? Present value of 20 lakh. Oh my God. Means now provision requires what? Discounting. Means as per AS 29, provision was recognized at undiscounted amount. But now as per Ind AS 37, we need to recognize provision at what? Discounted amount. Means it will be present value of what? This amount 20 lakh. Present value of 20 lakh. So when I am saying at the end of reporting date, it means what? Present value. It means what? Present value of that amount. Present value of that amount. This point you understood? Okay. Now, the question, I am coming to present value. Question is that what is the meaning of best estimate, sir? You have said best. What is best? What is best? तो लिखो point number B. Estimation are determined by management judgment. Management judgment. Means entire estimation will be based on what? Management judgment. Means we as an auditor will not estimate. Who will estimate? Because they are expert in their business. They know the business. We are only auditor. We can't estimate the amount for their business. So it will be based on what? Management judgment. Are you getting what I am saying? Correct. So how, what judgment? Likho. It need to be, it means what? Judgment. It need to be supported by, point number 1, experience of past transactions, or point number 2, or report of an expert. Auditor are not expert, huh? In this field. Okay? Report of an expert. Point number 3. Any additional evidence provided by the event, which event? Event occurring after which date? After reporting date. Refer which Ind AS? Ind AS 10. AS 4, Ind AS 10. Our next Ind AS will be Ind AS 10. So any additional evidence provided by event occurring after a reporting date. I think you all know AS 4. Correct? Understood? So it is based on past transaction. For example, we are doing sales and we give what? Warranty. So batao, whether there is a present obligation from past event? Yes. Of course, outflow is probable? Yes. Estimation can be made, but how? So can I say, as per past experience, the last few years, the average warranty service, warranty obligation was 5% of what? Sales. 5% of total sales. That was our past experience. So based on that experience, we'll create what? Estimation. We'll find out what? Estimation. Based on what? Past experience. But suppose there was no past experience. For example, somebody filed a case against us. So every year, no. Last year there was no case against us. So somebody filed a case against us. So it might happen we need to create what? Provision. So report of an expert. Expert is who? Lawyer. Who is defending our case? He will say what will be the probability of what? Amount. Probability of outflow of resource and what will be the amount of outflow. So report of an expert. Okay? But many times we get additional evidence from what? From event occurring after reporting date. That we'll discuss where? In Ind AS 10. Understood? Then point number C. How to measure? How to measure? Write down. In this there are 2 points. Point number 1. When obligation involve large population. Obligation involve large population. For example, sales return. Are you getting what I am saying? So it is not possible to do one-to-one what measurement of sales return. We have done 1 crore transaction during the year, and all are pending at year end. Means that there is what sales return time is not yet expired. Are you able to understand? Means on 31st March we have done 1 lakh transaction, and the time period for sales return is 15 days, which is not yet expired. Are you able to? So can you say we can't do one-to-one what measurement? So this obligation involves what? Large population. So whenever there is a large population, how to measure? Estimation. How to do estimation? So what they say? Determine expected value of obligation. Keyword is expected value of obligation, which is weighted average of all possible outcomes, which is weighted average of all possible outcomes. Understood? Let us take one example to understand this. Come to example number 19, given in page number 39. Example number 19, given in page number 39. Correct? Read on, everyone. An entity sells 1000 units of a product with warranties, under which the entity will repair any manufacturing defect that become apparent within the first 6 months after purchase. So if 6 months is not yet expired, there is what? Present obligation from past event, for which outflow is probable, and we need to estimate the amount. So this question we are doing from estimation point of view. So always 2 conditions will be satisfied. Always first 2 conditions will be satisfied. Are you able to understand? Then, if a minor defect is detected in a product, estimated repair cost of rupees 100 will result. This who is giving? Management, as per their judgment, as per their past experience. Okay? If minor defect, they are saying a cost of 100 will be incurred. If a major defect is detected in a product, estimated repair cost of rupees 400 will result. But for a major defect, around 400 might be the expenditure, The entity's experience together with future expectation indicate that 75% of goods sold have no defect. 20% of goods sold have minor defect, and 5% of goods sold have what? Major defect. This is based on their experience, last year experience or few year experience. This might be the possibility. Means based on management judgment. We need to now measure the amount of obligation. So what will be the amount of obligation? So we'll create what? We'll calculate expected what? Value of obligation, correct? Which will be equal to what? Weighted average of what? All possible outcome. तो बताओ, how many units sold? 1000 into 75%, no defect means nil amount na. So for 75% no expenditure, no expenditure, plus for how much? 20% minor defect. So into what? 100 and plus for 5% what? Major defect. How much? 400. 400 is equal to what? Is equal to 40,000. So this is what? Expected value of what? Obligation. So this will become best estimate and will create a provision of this amount. Try to understand, when I am saying best estimate, it does not mean your actual expenditure will be equal to this. Actual expenditure can be different. But as per current circumstances, prevailing on balance sheet date, this is the best estimate. Best estimate. It might happen, there might be no defect. No one is claiming any amount. It might happen, all are claiming some amount, but that does not mean this is an error. This is not an error. This is our best estimate as per what? Current circumstances. Current circumstances. Have you understood this point? Easy? Any doubt? Bolo. ठीक है? No doubt? Now, write down in this. If time value you written na? Oh my God. What happened? You written? You have written na? Very good. Thank you very much. What was the amount? 40,000. Write down. If time value of money, if time value of money is material, not material, so if the time value of money is material, then we should also do what? Present value of this what? 40,000. If the time value is not material, then what? No discounting. No discounting. This point you understood? Means here, because it was 6 months, so 6 months means time value of money is not material. Therefore, discounting is not required. Whenever it is payable after 1 year from reporting date, we call it what? Time value of money is what? Material. But within 1 year, then no discounting is required. No discounting is required. Understood? So that will depend upon the example, whether you will do discounting or you will not do discounting. Understood? So 40,000 is the best estimate. But can I say for this, it might happen you do what? Discounting, or you may not, means you can ignore also discounting depending upon what? Time value of money. Time value of money. Understood? This point. Chalo. Next point. Point number 2. When everyone will concentrate, these are all are new points. When there is single obligation, single obligation, one case is pending in what? High Court. So there is single obligation now. One obligation only. It does not involve large population. Are you able to understand? Then how to estimate? Write down. In this provision is created based on most likely outcome. Based on most likely outcome. Correct? However, if other possible outcome is mostly higher or mostly lower, then most likely outcome then provision amount will be that higher or lower amount, higher or lower amount. Everyone, let us understand this point. Concentrate, okay? Provision is created based on most likely outcome. First, let us understand this. Provision is based on most likely outcome. Let us take one example. On 31st March 2018, one High Court case is pending. Correct? Understood? Correct? And as per management estimation, as per the expert report, there is a chances that loss 70% and win what? 30%. Means they are saying 70-30. 70% chances of occurrence of loss. So it means what? 30% chances of occurrence of win. Means they will either lose the case or what? Win the case. Are you able to understand? Either favorable or unfavorable. Okay? But it does not mean in case of favorable there will be gain. If favorable, so no compensation will be received. But unfavorable, so some compensation will be payable. If somebody file a case against you now, so if you win, it does not mean you are getting some amount. Okay? So for some compensation, you need to also file a case against that person. Are you able to understand? So, now, as per expert opinion, they say that ki 60% chances of high damages and amount is 20 lakh and 10% chances of what? Low damages and amount is 3 lakh. Are you able to understand? They have given this point. Means the expert, as per expert report, they are saying that there is a higher chances of loss. So of course there is a present obligation and outflow is probable. Outflow is probable. So we need to estimate the amount. So we are here to estimate the amount. We have understood a condition of provision. So of course if estimation can be made, then only we'll create provision. So of course we need to assume that estimation can be made. So for that estimation, the expert says there is a 60% chances of how much outflow resource, 20 lakh, and 10% chances that it might happen we need to incur a loss of 3 lakh, depending upon the information. Depending upon the information as per the case. Are you getting what I am saying? Correct? So this is the probability. This is the probability. Now what they have said? कि provision is created based on what? Most likely outcome. But what is the most likely outcome? Most, ना ये तो छोड़. In this, what is the most likely outcome? 20 lakh or 3 lakh? 20 lakh or 3 lakh? 20 lakh. Therefore, provision will be equal to what? 20 lakh. 20 lakh into what? Present value factor if required. Into present value factor if required. Now, I'm not talking about right now present value factor. The most likely outcome is 20 lakh. Create a provision for that. Create a provision for that. Understood? Correct? Have you understood this point? Bolo. Okay. Then what they have said. Let us read. Let us read. This you have understood? Then what they have said. However, if the other possible outcome is mostly higher or mostly lower, then what? Most likely outcome. Then provision amount will be that higher or lower amount. Means what they want to say, if you consider all possible outcome, so if I consider all possible outcome, then what will my answer? 60% of what? 20 lakh. Plus what? 10% of what? 3 lakh. Plus what? Plus, I'm just writing 30% of what? Nil. This amount is what? This amount is coming how much? How much? 12 lakh? 30,000. 12 lakh 30,000. 12 lakh 30,000. ठीक है? और 12 lakh 30,000. So if this amount is what? Mostly lower than what? 20 lakh. Mostly lower. But this mostly lower has not been defined in India. Mostly lower. What is the meaning of mostly lower and what is the meaning of mostly higher? That has not been defined in what? India. Whenever there is no definition given, means it is based on our judgment. It's based on our judgment. Whether this is mostly lower than this, yes or no. Mostly lower, can I say mostly lower means what? 20 lakh into 50% is what? 10 lakh. If it is lower than what? 10 lakh, we'll say what? It is mostly lower from my point of view. Are you getting what I'm saying? Till now, India has not given any clarification about what? What is mostly lower? What is mostly higher? But as per my knowledge, as per my experience, if it is 20 lakh and we do 50% 20 lakh, how much coming? 10 lakh. So if the other possible outcome is what? Lower than what? 10 lakh, it becomes mostly lower. Mostly lower. So we can think about what? That amount. Then we can think about that amount. So right now, as per my information, 20 lakh will become what? Best estimate. 20 lakh will become best estimate. But from exam point of view, we'll give both the answer. Because you can't rely on my suggestion na. I say mostly lower means this amount. But you can't rely on my, because we need to what? From exam point of view. So from exam point of view, we'll give both the answer. Possible outcome is what? 20 lakh. But we can also take what? Weighted average for all possible outcome. Are you able to understand? However, the alternative answer is what? Weighted average of all possible outcome. They will understand your emotions and they will give you marks. But after writing this, you need to write down this para. If you are writing this para, then only they will understand you know all point. Have you understood this point? Correct? Bole yes or no? Have you understood? However, institute, whenever there is a doubt, they don't give any question on that. Therefore, this question I have taken from IFRS book, not from ICAI book. Means some example I will take from international question also. To give a what? Expert. I'll give you expert knowledge. I'll give you all types of knowledge. Even though institute will never ask question on this topic. Believe me, institute will never ask question in this topic because they also don't know. Are you able to understand? But I have done my job. I think you have understood. I think you have understood what they said. Batao. Provision is created based on what? Most likely outcome. However, if other possible outcome is mostly higher, yeah, mostly lower, then what? Most likely outcome, then provision amount can be what? That mostly higher, yeah, mostly lower amount. Have you understood this point? Correct? Bolo, have you written this example? Have you written this example? So your first answer is what? 20 lakh. And your alternative answer will be this. Alternative. Don't give any comment about what? Mostly lower and mostly higher. Don't write anything. Just write down alternatively. This can be also possible answer. Bas, khatam. Have you understood? Bolo. So don't write anything about mostly lower amount and mostly higher amount. Just write in exam what? Alternative answer can be this. They will understand your emotions. Have you understood this point? Bolo. Into present value factor if required. I said whenever there is a single obligation, find out most likely outcome. Most likely outcome. So in this case, what is the most likely outcome? 60%. 60% most likely outcome. So you should create a provision of 20 lakh provided there is no discounting. Provided there is no discounting. Over. But what they have said, now what they have said, however, if other possible outcome is mostly higher, mostly not higher, mostly higher or mostly lower. Now what is mostly higher, mostly lower? They have not defined. They have not defined it. What will be the mostly higher amount or mostly lower amount? But from my experience, if it is less than 50% of most likely outcome, we call it what? Mostly lower. If it is higher than what? 50% of the amount, then it will be mostly higher, as per my opinion. Are you able to understand? So what I am saying, if I apply my opinion, then this 12,30,000 is not mostly lower. Is not mostly lower. Therefore, your answer should be what? 20 lakh. Have you understood? But if this alternative answer would have been 9 lakh, then it would have been mostly lower than what? 20 lakh. Then your answer is what? 9 lakh, not 20 lakh. But from exam point of view, I will say don't rely on my opinion because you are not writing my exam. Are you getting? ICAI, if they give a question, give both the answer. Provision based on what? Most likely outcome. Provision based on what? All outcome. All outcome. Understood? Have you understood? Correct? Understood? Bol. Chalo. Any doubt? Any doubt? Bolo. Have you understood this point? Have you noticed why I'm writing present value factor? Present value factor. If the time value is what? Material, then apply what? Present value factor. Understood? Bolo. Have you understood? Means now you have understood what is the level. Have you understood level? What we are learning here? We are not learning only definition. We are learning every aspect of an accountant. Of an accountant. Understood? Correct? Coming to. Once again. The doubt came about the controversy only. Everyone, please. Please. One second. What I am saying, just listen. Mostly higher, mostly lower has not been defined in India. Means when you will become chartered accountant, you apply your own judgment about mostly higher and mostly lower amount. Because India is silent, so it is upon us now. You will define mostly higher and mostly lower. Bolo yes or no? It depends upon our judgment. Our judgment. So I want to clarify one more point. India's one says that whatever judgment you are taking, that also disclose. That also disclosed. So now all judgment need to be disclosed. Need to be disclosed. So you can't say we have taken judgment and will not disclose. So every judgment need to be disclosed. Are you able to understand? So if I have said that this is mostly lower, so what was the judgment that need to be disclosed as per what? India's one. Are you able to understand? So what I am saying, because India's is not clear on this ground, it depends upon the chartered accountant who is creating that provision to take their rational judgment कि what can be the possible outcome, what can be the mostly lower amount, what can be the mostly higher amount. As per my opinion, I said कि if this amount is 50%, more than 50% of this amount, yeah, less than 50% of this amount, it become what? Higher or lower amount. But will not apply in exam. In exam, what will do? Give both the answer. Give both the answer. And keep silent. And keep silent. But write down this para. Write down this para. This is smart answer. This is smart answer. Understood? Correct? Any doubt? Batao. Have you understood this point? Bolo. No jhagda in this point, please. When I am saying no fighting in this point, when I am saying institute will not ask, so they will not ask. Correct? But I have given this knowledge because you are what? Future chartered accountant. So you should know each and every point. You should know each and every point. Understood? आगे चलेंगे. Note. Note. Now थोड़ा fast, huh? Point number A. Provision. Thora fast now. All complication done. Provision should be measured. Should be measured before tax or after tax. It should be before tax because it is an expense which is charged before tax. Correct? Point number B. Amount of provision should be what? Present value of expenditure. Present value of expenditure. If the effect what? If the effect of what? Time value of money. Time value of money is what? Material. Correct? The amount should be what? Present value of expenditure. if the time value of money is what? Material. Means from exam point of view, if it is payable within 1 year, then no discounting. No discounting, correct? It is payable, if it is payable after 1 year from what? Reporting date. Then what? Discounting. So from exam point of view, this is the meaning. Payable after 1 year. Understood? Correct? Point number 3. Discount rate should be pre-tax. You know pre-tax? Post-tax and pre-tax? The discount rate should be pre-tax. Why? Because this is what? Before tax, therefore pre-tax. Okay? Point number 4. Gain from expected sale of an asset shall not be taken into account. Shall not be taken into account for measurement of provision. For measurement of provision. Gain from expected sale of an asset shall not be taken into account for measurement of provision. For example, if you are creating provision for repair for any asset, so any gain on sale of assets should not be taken into account for measurement of provision. Means provision means what? Only outflow of resource. Outflow of resource. So any expected gain from that asset should be ignored. Should be ignored. Understood? Correct? Then write down. Main point number 5. Point number 4 over. Now come to point number 5. Reimbursement. लिखेंगे important. Now, everyone, I want to ask something from you. Reimbursement. It might happen that you have an obligation. You have an obligation. Okay? So that obligation, you need to apply what? Ind AS 37. And it might happen, you need to create a provision for that amount. For example, you have also created 1 lakh by applying measurement rules. Okay? Understood? But if that obligation will be there, so this will be reimbursed by third party, either by insurance company or by any guarantor, etc. Are you getting what I am saying? Anyone has given guarantee to you. So there was an obligation, you have applied Ind AS 37 and you have created a provision for the outflow of resource, but it might happen that amount might be reimbursed by some other party, third party to you. It can be insurance company, it can be any other guarantor or any other person. Any other person. Question arises, what we will do about this reimbursement? Are you getting? So I am giving you 3 cases. Suppose the reimbursement amount is 1 lakh. So what need to be done? If it is 80,000, what need to be done? If it is 1,20,000, what need to be done? I have just taken some examples. Don't ask me how 1,20,000 right now. Okay? There can be 3 possibilities. Either the reimbursement amount will be equal to 1 lakh, or reimbursement amount will be equal to less than 1 lakh, or reimbursement amount will be more than what? 1 lakh. Okay? Suppose there is some reimbursement. Now question arises, what need to be done? This is provision created. Now I want your expert opinion. What you will do about reimbursement amount? Should we recognize or should not recognize? First, should we recognize or should not recognize as an asset? Because this inflow should become an asset. It become inflow means it is what? Asset. Correct? So, but it should be recognized as an asset or it should not be recognized as an asset. Bolo. Huh? Or who has said virtually certain? Oh my God. Same to same has been written in Ind AS 37. If it is virtually certain, recognize it as what? Asset. Are you getting? Very good. Impressed. Means those who are understanding each and every point, they can react. They can react in class. Are you getting what I am saying? Chalo, if it is virtually certain, we should recognize? Correct. Understood. Now, what will be the amount of asset in first case? Bolo, 1 lakh. In second case? In third case? How much? How much? Means you are a chartered accountant. Correct. Means if you apply your common sense, you can write down any answer given in exam. Once your basic concept is clear. Once your basic concept is clear, the first point, there must be virtual certainty. Then what? Recognize asset. But the amount should not exceed what? Amount of provision. Amount of provision. Now one more question. You need to say, huh? Okay? In balance sheet, we should write down separate asset and separate liability, or we should net off? Separate asset or separate liability, we should net off? Separate asset and separate liability. Very good. This is also correct. One last question. In SOPL, we should write down separate expense and separate gain or net off? Separate expense or separate income or net off? Arey bhai, you know everything. Same thing, it is net off. Understood? Means what? Think what? Apply your presence of mind. Because can I say, if it is reimbursed, it is not my expense. So writing as an expense will be wrong presentation of account. I said my obligation is worth 1 lakh, but it is reimbursed, so it is not my expense. So if you are writing as an expense, it will be wrong. Wrong presentation. Wrong presentation. So we are not here to find out net profit. We are here to present what? Financial statement in such a way that it gives correct information to whom? To the user of financial statement. 100% correct. I am impressed. I am impressed. Now write down. Write down. When expenditure require to settle the obligation to settle the obligation is expected to be what? reimbursed. Reimbursed by whom? Third party. Third party. There can be two situations. Everyone. If such a reimbursement is what? Virtually certain. Keyword is what? Virtually certain. Means once again, more than 90%. Correct? Then write down. Reimbursement should be recognized. Should be recognized as a separate asset. As a separate asset. Then write down. Such amount should not exceed what? Should not exceed the amount of provision. Correct? Then next point, such amount is set off against what? Against related provision and net amount is debited to what? Profit or loss. Understood? Correct? Any doubt? Have you understood all point? Bolo. Written? Then write down this side. Such reimbursement is not what? This will be 95%, okay? You have written what? 95 written. Why I have written 90? Not virtually certain. Is not virtually certain. Now, once again, apply your common sense. Whatever I am writing. Batao. If inflow are probable, then what you will do? Very good. Not recognized as what? Asset, but requires requires disclosure where? Requires disclosure in notes to account. Simple. If inflow are probable, second point will be what? If inflow are not probable, then what? What you will do? No treatment, ignore. No treatment. No treatment. Simple. Means entire is based on the whatever we have done for contingent asset. Same thing. Correct? Any doubt? So reimbursement also you understood? Any doubt? Write down. Refer to examples. Example number. Refer example number 24. In 24 there are two questions. This is must do. Must means this is homework for you. If you will not do, I will discuss when? Tomorrow. Okay? This much. Any doubt? So we have done most of the point of this, but some special point are left. Now for that special point, common sense will be required. So I will ask question, you need to respond. We'll complete today. Correct? Means this special point is also a what? Part of India's 37 only. So they may ask question on that topic also. Correct? Any doubt? Bolo. I need to complete this India's today only. Okay? As per my schedule. Point number 6, write down. No one will discuss, huh? Because now your time, you need to respond. My job done. Okay? Future operating loss. Or it might happen this point also you have done where? In your IPCC. Future operating loss. Everyone. I'll give an example. You need to say whether to create provision or contingent liabilities. Future operating loss. Now everyone try to understand. Suppose we have two business, business 1, business 2. Everyone try to understand. Okay? Business 1, business 2, and business 2 we have decided to discontinue from next year. Discontinued. Why? Because we have estimated, everyone try to understand, estimated some future loss of amounting rupees 10 lakh. So after 2 years we have decided to discontinue because it will take time for actual discontinue. Are you able to understand? So right now we have decided to discontinue business 2. Why? Because we are expecting what? Future operating loss of how much? 10 lakh. But it will take time of how many years? 2 years. So question arises, should we create a provision for this 10 lakh? Yes or no? Yes or no? No, yes. How many are saying no? So how many are saying yes? What balance are doing? How many are saying yes? We should create a provision like this. How many are saying no? No. Very good. No is correct answer. Why? Because future event. This is future. Business will be done in future. This is future event. There is no past event. There is no past event. Threading. Neither liabilities nor provision nor contingent liability. Correct now? Why? Because it deals with what? Future event. Therefore, question of India's 37 will not arise. The same question they will ask in exam. ठीक है? Have you understood? Because this is ICAI question only. If you want to write down refer, to write down refer example number 27. Refer example number 27, page number 48. ठीक है? Then point number 7. Executory contract. Executory contract. Do you know what is executory contract? Batao, what is the meaning of executory contract? For which either what? Partial performance has been done or no performance has been done by both the party. By both the party. Either partial or no performance has been done by both the parties. Let us take one example. Everyone. This is also exam question. If they will ask same question. I think you have done in IPCC also. Now, suppose we have taken a building on rent and the rent is 1 lakh per annum. Decided is what? 1 lakh per annum. Agreement done. And this building cannot be sublet. And it is non-cancelable. Non-cancelable. Okay? This is the. So one building was taken on rent for rupees 1 lakh per annum. Per annum. This agreement cannot be cancelled and the building cannot be sublet. The building cannot be sublet. This is the agreement done. Now, batao, at this point of time, batao, whether it is executory or it is not an executory contract. Bolo. At this point of time, can I say at every point of time these are executory? Because at this point of time it is fully executory. No one has performed their obligation. Once year 1 is expired, then both has performed their obligation. Means one will use the building, one will what? Give the building for rent. Are you able to? The performance has been done. I'm not talking about payment. I'm not talking about performance. One will use the building, one will give the building. So performance over. Performance over. So it is executory contract at each year end. Now everyone try to understand. Suppose 1 year expired and 1 lakh paid. 1 lakh paid. Everyone try to understand. Can I say 4 lakh is payable? As per agreement. Bolo yes or no? 4 lakh is payable or not? As per. Bolo yes or no? Yes. Should we create provision? Should we create provision? Yes or no? No. Agreement. Agreement. No. Why? Future event. Can I say we do not do accounting treatment based on agreement? We do accounting treatment based on substance. Substance over form. Understood? So once again, can I write down? IND AS 37 is not applicable to what? Executory contract. Once again, reason is what? This is a future event. Okay? But now I'll change the question thoda sa. What happened? Ki there was a huge loss in the second year. Same question. I'm just extending the question. There was a huge loss in second year. So he called one Pandit. And Pandit said, you need to what? Relocate towards some other building for production or your operating activity. This is not suitable for your business, Baba. Who said? Pandit. Now, what he will do? He will shift. So what he has done, he has shifted entire production and his trading activities to some other building. Are you getting? Correct? Now can I say everyone, कि now at this point of time, he cannot sublet, it cannot be cancelled, means can I no future economic benefit from this contract, bole ya suno? No future economic benefit, but how much unavoidable cost? They need to pay what? 1 lakh into what? 3. 1 lakh into 3. Are you able to understand? 1 lakh into 3. They cannot avoid this cost because it cannot be sublet, it cannot be cancelled. Question arises now, should we create provision? Yes, means you have done AS 29. Means you have read in IPCC. Or you have done, you have said the answer yes by your own, or you have done this point. What is this contract? Onerous contract. So what IND AS 37 says, whenever executory contract are onerous, burden, it become a burden for you, then apply IND AS 37 and recognize provision. Recognize provision. So what is the meaning of onerous contract? When the future benefit from that contract is less than what? Unavoidable cost. When the future expected benefit is less than what? Unavoidable cost. It will be known as what? Onerous contract. And for onerous contract, what is applicable? IND AS 37 is applicable. Write down. Point number 8. Onerous contract. Write down expected. Write down. Onerous contract. Onerous contract are what? Executory contract. Oh. अच्छा ये बात are executory contract in which what? Unavoidable cost of meeting. Unavoidable cost of meeting what? The obligation. Meeting the obligation exceed what? Economic benefit expected to be received from such contract. Understood? From such contract. I think you have understood the meaning. Unavoidable cost, keyword. Exceed what? Economic benefit expected. Correct? Right on. IND AS 37 is applicable to onerous contract. Means I can say those executive contracts which are onerous. ठीक है? देखेंगे. In this case, amount of provision will be equal to unavoidable cost, unavoidable cost which is lower of, which is lower of, lower of. Point number A, cost of fulfilling the obligation, fulfilling the obligation, or point number B, penalty payable, penalty payable to exit from contract, from contract, penalty payable to exit from contract. Whenever there is a non-cancelable contract, now always there will be one penalty clause. You can exit by paying some amount, by paying some amount. So that is known as penalty clause for non-cancelable contract. Are you able to understand? I'm just giving you 4 situations for the same example. You will give me what amount of provision will create. Okay? Case 1. Same example, huh? Case 1. So what was the balance number of year? 3 year. So we'll create a provision for how many year? 3 year. Present value will come into act. But we'll ignore present value. We'll do if they ask the question. Okay? Correct? तो बताओ. First, no penalty clause. No penalty clause. बताओ. What will be the amount of provision?
3 lakhs.
3 lakh. Can I write down into present value factor? You'll understand now. Correct now. Correct? Means 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh into present value factor. Okay. Then, case 2, everyone. Same question. No penalty clause, but it can be sublet, it can be sublet at rupees 70,000 per month. बताओ. Sorry, per annum. बताओ, how much? So it will be 30,000 into 3. Very good. Into present value factor. Case 3. ठीक है. There is a penalty clause penalty clause to exit the contract by paying what? By paying rupees 1,50,000. So what you will do?
1.5.
So it will be, I'm just doing like this, 1 lakh into 3, 3 lakh, or what? Or 1,50,000, whichever is lower. Whichever is lower. The answer is what? I think you've understood. So they may ask this type of question. Correct? Any doubt? Bolo. No doubt? Right up. Last point for today. Point number 8. 9. Point number 9. Have you understood this point? I think very easy. ठीक है? Last point. देखो. Changes in provision. देखो. Provision should be reviewed at each reporting date, and should be adjusted to reflect current best estimate. Means every year end it should be what? Reviewed. Reassessment need to be done. Correct? And we need to find out current best estimate. ठीक है? Add on. If provision is no longer required as it is not probable the amount of provision should be what? Reversed. Accounting treatment. Write down. If related to expense, then what? If related to asset, we are talking about accounting treatment of provision. Huh? If related to asset. Point number 1, for creation या recognition into PL account debit to respective provision, and it is related to asset, then asset account debit to respective provision. Point number 2, for reversal, here what? Provision account debit to what? PL. Here what? Provision account debit to asset. Of course, you have not understood what? Related to asset. Have you understood this point? Yes or no? Have you understood this point? Asset account debit to provision? I think you have not understood. Because refer IND AS 16. We'll discuss this point in IND AS 16. Not now. I'll give an example in case of what? IND AS 16. Okay? Done. For today, this much. Thank you very much. We will meet tomorrow.